Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jared Weathers, and this is a new series we got. These aren't going to have like a set schedule. I'm just going to throw these in whenever. So we're going to start with one of my favorite movies of all time, Black Christmas. It's on my top 10 movies of all time. I'll link that in the description or in the right-hand corner. One of the original slashers, an amazing story with an amazing killer. This movie needs more love. It definitely does. I'm going to give some background, explain the plot, explain the reaction at the time, and as time has gone on, and give a star rating. So let's jump into it, baby. Let's go. Canadian screenwriter Roy Moore wrote the original script, being inspired by a kid killing his family in 1943 with a baseball bat and an urban legend that traced back to the 60s called The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs. Basically, the story goes a teenager's babysitting, and while watching TV, a man calls and tells her to check on the kids, but she hangs up thinking it's just a prank. He keeps calling, and she's increasingly afraid. She calls the police, they tap her phone, but they tell her to leave the house, and after they arrive, they tell her the man was inside the house, and called her after he killed the kids. Olivia Hussey, who played Jess, gained recognition after starring in Romeo and Juliet, and was told by a sidekick being in this movie would earn her a great deal of money. Bob Clark sought out Keir Dullea of 2001 fame to play Peter. He offered the role of Miss Mac to Bette Davis, but she declined. Lynn Griffin, who played Claire, got the role after her mother, who was also her agent at the time, got her an audition. Margot Kidder liked the character of Barb, as in her words, quote, she was not a traditional lead, unquote. Gilda Radner was actually offered the role of Phyllis, but declined the role to star on some show you probably never heard of called Saturday Night Live, and was replaced by Andrea Martin. John Saxon was the original choice for Lieutenant Fuller, but it was given to Edmund O'Brien after some, in the words of Bob Clark, miscommunication with his agent. However, once O'Brien showed up to set, he could not do the job due to illness, so Saxon was offered the role, and he accepted. For Billy, they got Nick Mancuso. Sorry if I'm butchering any of these names. And during the audition, they got him to do multiple voices while faced away from Clark. We begin with a sorority house and the title. We see a wobbly POV shot of someone outside the house. The POV then climbs onto some lattice outside the window to the top floor. We go inside the house, and one of the girls picks up the phone, and the other girl gets a call while we follow his POV shot into the attic. The POV then goes down a ladder and into the house proper. Barbara's upset about her phone call, and it ends. The house gets another call, someone who is going through some kind of mental episode, screaming and mumbling. We get extreme close-ups of all the women's faces. Barb takes the phone in response to the guy on the other line. Claire gets upset with Barb and goes to continue to pack for Christmas break and hugs up on her cat. The POV we followed is in her closet behind some dress bags. She doesn't see them at first. She gets wrapped up, but her screams go unnoticed with the commotion downstairs. They're having a party. The killer, whose name is Billy, we find out sometime later, is walking around upstairs and returns to the attic. The house mother finds a book with some alcoholic tendencies. They get another call. This time it's Jess's boyfriend, Peter. It's the next day. We see an older gentleman waiting under a clock tower for his daughter, but she's late. He gets directions as we cut to the house, and Santa is upset. Claire's father is upset by the atmosphere in the house. Jess finally talks to her boyfriend and says she is pregnant but wants to get an abortion. Peter says no, but she doesn't want to ruin her career opportunities. Jess picks up another call, and it's the same guy. We go to the cop shop, and the officer who they are talking to is not having it. He gives Mr. Harrison a report to fill out. Barb tells the officer the house number, but messes with him a little bit. Jess talks to a guy on the hockey team and sees if he knows where Claire is, but he doesn't really know either. Peter is having an audition of some sort, but is distracted and fails it. Chris and Jess return to the cop shop, and they talk to John Saxon about Claire. Barb is so drunk she can barely stand, giving a fact about turtles. Peter breaks the piano he was using. This is like a little later. John Saxon holds a rally about the missing sorority girl and conducts a search. While this is happening, the house mother is still drinking and goes to find Claude, the cat, who is licking Claire's dead face. She climbs into the attic where Billy is. She sees Claire in the attic and slowly turns around and gets a pulley hook to the face. The taxi guy leaves since no one came out. A woman on the search team screams that they think it's Claire, but it's actually a high schooler. But we're not sure if those are connected to Billy. Jess is home and gets another call from Billy. She then calls out for Miss Mack, but gets no answer. She calls someone to get the phone calls to stop. It gets forwarded to the cops, and they don't really do anything about it. Jess and Peter talk. He wants to marry her, but she isn't ready for that. He takes it really hard. Claire's father talks to John Saxon and tells his officer to go investigate. Peter straight up threatens Jess about having an abortion. I keep calling him by the actor's name, John Saxon, but his name in the movie is Lieutenant Fuller. And Bill Graham come to the house to tap the phone with permission and do some detective work. The cops get the phone tap working, and Billy's on the move. He's over Barbara's bed staring at her. She chokes on air and says she had a nightmare, but it's clear he was choking her. He sneaks back into Barb's room and is killed with what looks like an ice pick. Billy calls again, and Bill is tracing the call, but he hangs up before it can be traced. Peter calls crying and blubbering about the baby, which Fuller and Jess talk about. Fuller and Graham make a plan to go to the house and see what they can find. Fuller looks into Peter as Phyllis goes into Barb's room, and the door closes. We see Billy dialing again, and Jess picks it up. The call's getting traced, and one of the greatest tropes is born. The call is coming from inside the house. Nash calls Jess as instructed and tells her to leave the house and tells her the one thing he wasn't supposed to. The killer is inside. She goes to Barb's door, gets in, sees both her and Phyllis piled up. She sees Billy. She runs but can't open the door, so she locks herself in the basement. She sees some legs walking around outside in the small windows, but it turns out it's Peter. The police get there. Jess screams bloody murder. The cops bust the basement door down. Everybody leaves. Jess in the house with Billy all alone, as they think Peter did all those murders, but was killed by Jess. The attic trap door opens as we see Miss Mack and Claire are still not found by the police, and it's implied Jess is also murdered, and Billy is not leaving this house. And the movie ends with the phone ringing. Critics at the time were mixed on the movie, like A.H. Weiler of the New York Times saying, quote, a whodunit that raises the question of why this was made, or like Variety, who called it slow-paced, or even Gene Siskel, who gave the film 1.5 out of 4 stars. I do not agree with these reviews, but there were some positive ones. Heidi Martin-Uzzi of Film Threat called it innovative as it influenced Halloween and mostly at nighttime setting. Over the years, it's gotten better reviews. As of this writing, the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes is at 76%. It was released on October 11th, 1974, which I feel like it should have been probably released closer to Christmas, and grossed $4 million worldwide on a $600,000 budget. So it did make a profit. I absolutely love this movie. I try to watch it around Christmas at least once a year. It's a great horror movie, and I always recommend it to horror fans if they haven't seen it. I give it a 9 out of 10. The only thing I don't like is that it hasn't become a franchise. Not the fault of the movie, of course, but still. I like Margot Kidder in this movie. She is a standout, but everyone did well. Obviously, this is from the early to mid 70s, so the politics of the time are in this. Even though Canada had allowed women in colleges in the mid 30s, American laws had only just allowed them after Title IX in 1972. If you like horror movies and haven't seen this one, definitely check it out. Thank everybody for watching. Comment below if you've seen this movie and give it a rating. Like the video, dislike the video, and tell me what movie you think I should do next for this show. Merry Christmas, and I'll see y'all Tuesday.